All right, we are back. We are back for another edition of Live from Redhook here at the Funktion House, Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And we are welcoming back to the show. He's no stranger to the Funktion House. He's always stopping by, always here with the 4 a.m. crew.
Ooh.
One of the co-owners of the 4 a.m., the one and only DJ Chachi.
That's
Hi,
right.
guys. Thanks for having me back.
Welcome.
What up, buddy?
Yeah.
What's up, bro?
Sir, it's a pleasure.
Welcome.
I like how you got the cool, like, and then
Yeah.
he's like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snap. Every now and then I hit the snap.
I'm like preoccupied with a million different things. already.
So we already went through the whole interview thing with you, how you got started.
Sure.
But there's still a lot of questions for you.
There's so much.
Yeah.
Because it's such a long career. It's hard to, like,
And
just
when we
get it in
were
one time.
early on, that was the first season. We had a little microphone difficulties
Oh, yes,
with
we did,
Chachi
we did.
when we did the show.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
We're using
maybe
lapel mics, and your phone probably kept buzzing
Maybe.
because you were on a live feed.
Just getting all the sexts, lots of sexts from guys.
So what's up, dude?
Nothing. How's everything? Or everything.
How's 4 a.m.?
4 a.m. is great. Honestly, I love it. It has literally taken over my entire world, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
What do you love to deal with at 4 a.m.? Like, what is like the?
I love...
And what do you hate to deal
Yeah,
with?
what do you?
Well,
hate to
it's
deal with?
actually really like a love-hate with everything because I love to deal with buyers and kind of see things from the other side of the fence and their perspective and what they're really interested in, you know, like the business has evolved, etc. And then I hate dealing with them.
Since you're right there, what are they interested in? Like, what are the buyers interested in nowadays?
I think what has really happened, and I just had this conversation with someone today. I said it's sort of relative to what has kind of happened in the country, where like the middle class is slowly being erased. It's like wealthy and not so wealthy. And I feel like it's kind of similar to what it is in the DJ community, where it's like you're either Tiesto or you're $500.
Yep.
And buyers are now treating the open format guys as very replaceable. And it's not the case to us, but if we're not putting butts in the seats, selling hard tickets, they don't really see the value, even though the value is actually if that open format DJ can keep the people in your room there and spending. There's a ton of value to that, but we can't exactly quantify it. I can't say, okay, when I started DJing, you had X amount of people in the room, and then by the night's over, I still had X amount of people, and then because they stayed, because the music was good, they spent more money.
Yep.
So I'm worth more than Jerry that doesn't do a good job. It's very hard to
There are
add the
not
value.
many open format DJs that are putting bodies in rooms.
It's just, I think it's the way that open format DJs were never ticket sellers.
Yep.
We relied on the promoters to do their job, and then listen, you
We
put the
kept
bodies in
them
the
there.
room, and I got it.
Yeah.
You do your job, I'll do my job, and then okay. And then, but now that we kind of followed that format, we actually kind of put ourselves in this position
Yep.
where we're not selling hard tickets. People aren't coming to the door and saying, I'm here. And even if I do sell, if I get 50 people on my guest list, the buyer is not going to be like, oh, well, praise Jesus, thank God you came. Like, it's
Yeah.
not the
It's only
case.
50 people. Yeah.
So I love talking to buyers. I love kind of like getting in their mindset. And then I hate dealing with buyers because I kind of already know the perspective they're coming from.
Yep.
So they're like, this is my budget, take it or leave it. And you're like, well, all right.
I mean, $500 is like a good budget now in New York City.
New York City's budgets are the worst. I mean, but I get it because it's supply and demand. We have some of the best DJs in the country that live right here.
Right.
Yep.
And we don't need DJs from other cities. That's why New York doesn't really fly in open format DJs.
Yep.
And then the talent. I love working with talent. They're creative. They're excited. You know, they bring it. They are everything. It's kind of like dealing with like kids that are like super duper excited about something. It's like, you know, this kid just wants to play ball, and you're like, why is this so exciting? But it's really exciting to him. And then the artists are that young, you know, energized talent, and then they're also kind of like children where you ask them to do simple things and then they forget or, you know, whatever. It kind of goes with all the different roles that being someone's manager really is, where you become their therapist and their accountant and
Well,
their
I mean,
dad.
I see at 4 a.m. that I don't see with a lot of other agencies is that, like, you're friends with these people.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you're just their manager and you own 4 a.m.
It's not just
I
a
see you
business
with them all the
relationship.
time.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
just a business, and that's really the only way that I'm comfortable operating the business, because I wouldn't be comfortable working with people I didn't like as human beings and weren't comfortable with being like, this is a friend of mine.
I could make things difficult.
Yeah.
Too.
It
Like
does sometimes.
how do you deal with like
It's
when
a
you
really
have to
delicate dance.
like if you have I'm not saying that you reprimand the DJs on the roster, but sometimes there may be a situation
Like
where
a bad report. Like,
You
a
know.
club gave this guy a bad report. Let's not mention anyone's name, but like you have to then go to them like, hey, look, this club said that you know.
The answer to most questions that kind of lean that way, where you were like, this might be like a tough situation, is transparency. When we run a completely transparent, honest ship, we don't run into those problems like, hey, I thought this gig was for X amount of dollars, but I only got paid X amount. It's like, if you want, I always tell everybody, it's like, if you want to look at my emails, you can, because we're not skimming, we're not cheating anybody, we're not taking anything off the top. And that solves most things.
So that's because you learned from experience with that one.
100%. I mean, I've had
Yeah.
some great managers, but then I've had those experiences. They weren't the worst people in the world, but I had experiences where I definitely knew that I was getting beat for money, or the gig was for X, but I was only getting paid this. So.
And you being a DJ also, like, you'd want to see some emails sometimes.
100%.
Yeah.
And I have seen emails, and they're not good. It's like ignorance is bliss in those situations.
So
But
question for you in terms of volume, in terms of gigs,
Mhm.
like just for everybody that's on the roster, has it remained consistent? Have you seen a drop off in gigs
No, we've
because of the
definitely-
saturation? I mean,
we've actually seen it kind of like an uptick, because some of the venues in the city are strong arming the DJs for DJ rates, but we still bring a level of talent to the table that is kind of not comparable to a lot of the DJs. So even though they are working for similar money, other agencies or other DJs in New York, they're not the same. They're not our guys. So we've kind of seen an uptick.
are you guys doing a lot more private events now too?
Yeah, we're definitely pivoting some of our focus in the company to the corporate, experiential, and private event sector, because the money is better, the clientele that we deal with is better. People pay deposits
Yep.
right out of the gate. They're like super happy to do work, do business, do it right, and get it out of the way.
Yeah. I noticed that.
And I think-
time is better. You're not out all night, all times of the night.
Yep.
I don't have to be at the club until 4:00 in the morning to get paid X, when I can make 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times that amount and work from 9 to 11.
Yeah.
And that's where the experience trumps sort of like the younger generation of these DJs coming up, because a lot of the younger guys, the younger kids that are playing maybe in some of the clubs, they're not well versed in all genres of music where they can.
I think it's the evolution of priorities. Whereas someone younger might go, okay, but I want to DJ at Marquee and Tao, and I go, that's great. I said, but if you do this private event, you're going to make 10 times the money. And when I was younger, I might have gone and said, well, I want the cool factor.
Yeah.
And now I'm at a point in my career where I need a little bit of both, because to pitch the DJs on the private events and the experiential stuff, they do need the cool factor. They need to be relative in this world. So it's still a little bit of both.
Okay.
Rumble keeps you cool.
What do you want to know about Rumble?
You guys post Rumble a lot.
We go to
I don't know
Rumble
if you
a
have
lot.
a free membership over there.
We do.
Oh,
so
good. They take care of you at least.
So Rick Wonder and myself are the music directors at Rumble.
Oh, clever.
We handle all of their music.
I knew something was up there. You guys post way too much.
And then we work out there every day. And that's why we go in this infrared sauna and take weird selfies together. It's fine. We're not naked. It's not weird.
So here's a question. Do managers, are they on top of you about posting content from the actual venue? Like, are they like, hey, we want you on Instagram and go
Some.
live and
Some of them are. We haven't actually had any requests for DJs to go live yet. I'm kind of surprised why not. I can kind of understand why some clubs would not want them to go live. It's like you kind of feel like part of the mystery of nightclubs is gone because we can see what goes on,
Yes.
and the presentations and the crowd, and sometimes it's not all it's cracked up to be. And clubs can't really hide that anymore, and everything is very transparent because in real time it's like, well, how's it going? And it's like, well, here, look.
yeah. The bottle presentations.
Right, you
Yeah.
know, it's like how many cartoon characters can we stack on someone's shoulders while
To
we
bring
bring
out a
out
bottle.
Happy Birthday, Kevin? And it's like, okay, we get it. It's his birthday. So not live, and we haven't really had a lot of clubs that are like, you know, you need the events and stuff actually do have those requirements drawn up in their contracts, but not so much the nightclubs. But then again, most of the DJs, they really want to promote that stuff on their own.
Yeah. You're still doing some traveling gigs, I see.
I'm still traveling almost every weekend.
That's awesome. So what spots are you hitting?
I just came back from Dallas. I played one set in Dallas. Shout out to my man Zillamatic. And then I played the Grand in Boston. Shout out to Randy and Big Night. I was just in LA for a couple private events. I played a private event in Argentina. I have another date at Aura in Houston coming up. Shout out to my man Taylor Tran.
That's
Life is
great.
Good. Yeah, I think.
So like, are you out when you're in these places? Are you trying to work in some of the guys from 4am?
100%.
Yeah.
So if I can get in there and create a relationship with the buyer, usually most buyers are the most comfortable with me. Not always, because Beatbreaker definitely has a ton of relationships that I don't have.
Yep.
Rick Wonder has a ton of relationships I don't have. But I'm always trying to get everyone else in. It actually it's kind of like becoming a parent where everything is actually not about me at all anymore. I'm trying to get in there, but then I'm trying to get everybody else in there. So I like to go to these venues. I like to show them what we can do. And then I like to say, some of my DJs are even better than me. Like, let's get them in here.
So from being you were always signed to an agency from as far as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
What made you want to own one?
I didn't. I had no intentions.
Because you were also a stakeholder in SL, right? You had
Yes, I invested in about 10 restaurants and nightclubs. I did that early on in my career because I was always concerned with how long you could DJ.
Exactly. That's smart.
So when I was 23, I was doing stereo on Tuesdays, 10 June on Thursdays, and then I was at the Murmur in Borgata Fridays, Saturdays, and Mondays. So I would stay there on Sunday. So I just basically worked. I had almost no days off, and I still lived at my mom's. So I was just
You were just
saving.
banking.
He was
I
stacking
just
the mattress.
saving money, and then that was the beginning of my investment process because my dad was a great planner, and he started my retirement fund when I was 17. Like, we've always been looking super, super far ahead. And whatchamacallit, I always planned, and I wasn't sure how long you could be a DJ. But then that kind of changed. It was like, well, David Guetta's X amount of years old, and then he's still doing it. And then like, oh, he's kind of, and it kind of, I don't know, it changed. I can probably do this till the wheels fall off.
And you love production
I
because
do.
you're constantly putting out heaters.
I do love making music. I'm trying to do so many different things right now in life. It's a lot. I'm being pulled in a lot of directions. But I'm sorry to circle back, but I never actually planned on being anyone's manager. It kind of fell in my lap. 4am was making some moves. One of the original owners was leaving. Adam was leaving to manage the Chainsmokers full time, and then Jusky was the remaining owner, and Just is not exactly a manager / like businessman, and he kind of knew I always wanted to be involved, but not. I didn't know in what capacity, and then he brought me in.
That's awesome.
It definitely worked out in the end, but I had literally no intentions of ever like managing anyone else's career or whatever. Like it just fell.
So how involved is Jusky with 4 a.m. now?
Right now, he is kind of from afar.
Yeah.
He is really mostly focusing on himself. Madison and I really pretty much run the company.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, super cool.
What else? You have anything else, Mike?
When you we have a question from somebody out
Go
there
on.
in Facebook land.
Facebook land?
Yeah.
Ross Petter.
Ross has a question.
Hey, Facebook. Man.
When you go out, do you ever go out to listen to any DJs, and specifically not any 4 a.m. DJs? Do you ever
I
go?
don't really go out as much as I used to. Rick tries to get me to go out on a daily basis, and usually answers
Rick
no.
doesn't go out.
Nah, Rick just goes to church and prays and
Photo shoots.
meditates. Lots of Instagram photo shoots. I like to hear DJs play stuff that I don't really have the opportunity to play. So it would be kind of like deep house DJs, stuff like that, like Guy Gerber, Black Coffee, etc.,
Yep.
etc. I saw Black Coffee at Coachella. Like it was pretty amazing. It's like
This
real
year?
opportunity. No, last year.
Oh, last year.
This year I didn't go, and I had serious FOMO. Serious FOMO. I wanted to wear my flower crown. It didn't work out. I just wore it around the house.
I've never been to Coachella.
It was a lot of fun. It really was a lot of fun. You should go. Let's go.
I want to go to Burning Man. Have you been there?
I want to do Burning Man, and I want to do Tomorrowland.
Yes.
So we actually just signed a new DJ Lady S. She's from Belgium. So she actually performs at Tomorrowland every year. So I'm going to get into her carry-on. And just
So wait, you signed the DJ from London?
Belgium.
From Belgium.
Yeah.
How does that work out?
Um,
What do you do for her?
So we're going to do everything that we do for all our DJs. We're super duper hands-on. We're involved in like every aspect. And it was really interesting when we met with her. She had kind of been on our radar a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And then when we met, she was like, I've had so many DJs from so many countries tell her that she should really go meet with 4 a.m. And Madison and I were really kind of taken back. She was like, well, this DJ from Germany, and then this DJ from the Netherlands, and then we were like, people know about 4 a.m., like all the way over there. And she's like, yeah, like 100%. Like not only do they know about you guys, they can tell what kind of company you are through your social media.
Wow.
She's like, she had met with other agencies, and she's like, I got like the worst vibe from them, and she's like, I knew that when I met you guys, this is how it would go. And it was like one very quick meeting, and it was like,
Wow, it's great.
yeah, I mean, it says a lot about who Madison and myself are, the kind of like family-orientated company we try to create, like that experience, and it obviously speaks, because if people have never met us, don't know any of our DJs personally, and they're just on the other side of the world, and that's what they think. I mean, it's true, you know, if you
Yeah.
really live it, that's who you are.
So you seeked out her from Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
There's hundreds of DJs in New York that are dying to be down with 4 a.m. How are you dodging all these people?
We're not really dodging anybody. We're being super selective on who we want to work with, and we are paying extremely close attention to the climate of the industry, where it's going, rates. You know, I personally think that the nightclub industry has got some thinking to do. They have to like go back to the drawing board, because this formula that they do every single night is a very old business plan. And I think everything's been disrupted by technology. Communication, television, all these different things have had their own revolutions, except nightlife. We're still doing alcohol, loud music, and blinking lights. I mean, we've added like the presentations, maybe like the festivals do the cryo and like stuff like that, but
Yeah.
like nothing has really changed. I mean, bottle service is what, 2001?
Well, have you been to any clubs in Brooklyn?
I went to Brooklyn Mirage, but that's not bottle service. It was
No,
just,
I know.
it was
That's
just
what I'm saying. Like,
crowd.
it's like if you come to Brooklyn, you get that old feel,
Mm-hmm.
like that old nightclub New York City
Yeah,
feel.
because people want to dance.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? What do you think is the answer?
I'm not sure because everything else has been disrupted by technology. I mean, but nightlife is hurting because of technology.
I mean,
Netflix and chill, all the dating apps. I understand people's dilemma where they're like, do I want to try and go and try and get into this club? Pay all this money in the hopes of meeting somebody? Or do I want to shoot my shot on Instagram or Instagram DMs or Tinder? And then it costs me nothing and my odds are so much higher. So I get it. I understand why people are like, go to a nightclub. Like,
it's
no.
not cheap to be in a nightclub either.
No, I mean, drinks are $20 a shot.
Yeah, that's
So let's say you meet a girl. Now it's 2 rounds. You're $100 in the hole.
you need 500 in your pocket to go out on,
Right.
on a Saturday night in
And
New York
that's
City.
not realistic for
Yeah.
everybody.
Well,
So-
I think a lot of these young kids, they just don't have that money.
no. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't have any money at that age.
But I think, one of the biggest problems is that the nightclubs are also faking the experience,
Oh, it's
right?
all smoke and mirrors.
So they're hiring girls
Mm-hmm.
to solicit guys and be at their table so that those guys are spending more money. So they're making this whole thing phony.
But the funny thing
Yeah,
about
but the
that,
guys want it.
No,
of course they do.
I
Yeah.
get it. I get it.
but the
You
smoke
know,
and
like-
mirrors is actually shooting them in the foot. So you go to Club X on whatever night, and 70 to 80% of the club is paid to be there. They're doing this multiple nights a week, so they really don't want to be there. They're they're at work.
Yep.
So they're not dancing. They're not standing. They're there looking at their phone, going, when can I leave?
Yeah, and you notice at 2:30, it's like they're out.
Gone. Everybody's a go.
Yeah.
But up until that point, they actually suck the energy out of the club
Yep.
because they'll get up for one song that is odds are the worst song on the radio, and then they'll sit back down for the rest of the night. And you're like, bro, like, why are you here? Like, you're being paid. I was talking to a manager the other night, and I was like, the way that they operate the promo girls or the promoter tables is that they do it by the amount of people that they bring and how they look. Okay, cool. I said, what about participation? How come you guys don't go, if you're going to bring this amount of people, they have to be standing. They got to dance because that is part of the vibe. You can't just put bodies in the club. It's a cemetery.
No, you're right.
Nobody wants to be there. Why is participation not a part of the payment plan? It's like, cool, if you bring them and you get paid this much. If they dance, then you get paid this much.
So how are the DJs staying motivated in these places?
It's really difficult. It's really difficult because
know?
we're being cornered in a lot of ways. New York is now buckled down on how much you're being paid, what you have to play, and the repercussions if you go outside that box are you're probably not going to get hired again. So DJs are playing super safe. They're playing only this little teeny tiny box of music that they're allowed to play. So they're playing kind of a boring set, but because they just want to make it to their next gig. And there's no incentive. It's like if I kill it, I know it in like I murdered it tonight. I don't get paid any more money.
I know.
There's no tips. So you have this ceiling that's right here, and the repercussions of doing anything different are you lose your job. So I'm just going to play it safe.
I mean, there are some promoters out there that are letting there's like rooms too that are letting, they're letting the DJs do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain promoters out there that are trying to throw these old school parties
Yeah.
and have like throwback parties, but the promoters are not throwback promoters. You
No.
know? So
The-
they're bringing
Well, the girls were born in the 90s,
yeah,
and they're playing music from the 80s.
yeah.
So it's kind of a weird connection. I really like what they're trying to do, and I remember the heyday of playing 80s and stuff in the club. But like I'll still play like remixes of a Bon Jovi song, and like everybody sings.
Yeah.
So there's a way to do it, but I think nightclubs need to trust who they hire, and it's a serious aspect that I have been yet to understand. Where if I go to the doctor I'm not going to say, I understand your opinion, but I went on WebMD and it says this. Okay? Because now, for some reason, everyone knows better than us.
I know.
Managers know better than us. Club owners know better than us. The crowd knows better than us. And they're shoving their phones in our face and saying, play this song again. Even though you just played it and I heard it in the car on the way here. Play it again. Because everybody will go crazy. So what happened? When did you hire experts and then go, I know you're an expert in your field, but let me tell you how to do your job? What happened? What's Facebook land saying? Do we have comments?
Somebody wants to know, how can a guy who doesn't go out talk about how the nightclub industry currently works? Mind baffling.
Who's Elliot Matos?
I don't know, Elliot. Hi, Elliot.
Hey, Elliot.
Well, Elliot, I've been DJing for 22 years.
And you work in the clubs.
And I
Yeah.
work in clubs every weekend.
And
but
he's owned a few clubs too, Elliot.
And I've owned 7, and I manage 15 other artists. So this is a really good example of someone that's not an expert in their field chiming in, where social media is great, but sometimes you have to understand that people know more than you. We have all this experience. Sorry, Elliot. You're wrong.
So, I mean, I don't know if I ever see it changing.
I don't either.
Well,
I
you
think-
know?
where could it go?
Well, it can move to areas where there's cheaper rent. That's for one thing. Because back in the day, the clubs were always in the worst areas.
Right.
They were never in the meatpacking district is beautiful now, but back in the day, the meatpacking
was
district
terrible.
was trash.
Right.
And you were able to own a nightclub that was small and there was cheap rent.
Mm-hmm.
But now they want $50,000-$60,000 a month. What do you expect these club owners to do?
Right.
They have to push the bottle clients. They have to have the girls at your table.
It's
They
all
have
about
to have
money.
hired help, and that's what it comes down to.
I just think that the demographics of people that now live in the tri-state areas. I mean, like, let's take Brooklyn for example.
Mhm.
Brooklyn demographics has totally changed.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the areas where I grew up, right? Like all those people, like from like my generation, like say people like me, you know, they've moved out of Brooklyn.
Okay.
Okay, so they've either went to Staten Island, and most of them have went to Jersey, and these areas that have regentrified in Brooklyn are a totally different type of people.
100%.
And these people are people who don't like to go to the clubs and spend money. They're going to these dive bars.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the demographics of people in New York have changed drastically. Like, look, I live in Bay Ridge. I don't know if you're familiar with Bay Ridge.
Not really.
But Bay Ridge, Brooklyn at one time was like a nightlife capital where there was a dozen clubs, bars, whatever. At 1 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night, it is a ghost town. And it's because the demographics of people that used to go out in that area, they don't live over here anymore. So the people who now live in Brooklyn are these people who are not fist pumping or whatever.
I wonder if the same thing happened in Long Island, because I'm from Long Island, and Long
there used
Island
to be a ton of clubs
used
in
to have
Long
a
Island.
million clubs, and Long Island has no clubs now.
Yeah,
They're
it's-
all gone.
They're all gone, and it's so I just think that we've gone through this changing of the guard in the people. You know, like look, Brooklyn, Long Island City, all like these hip areas. You have it's not even like foreigners. It's people coming from that came from the Midwest that have infiltrated these areas, and they're just different people. And look, I see it in our private events business, where you know, like people come in, they no longer want the glitz and the glamour. They don't want TVs.
Oh, really?
They don't want a ton of lighting. They don't want anything, and they don't want to spend money. So the same thing that you guys are having in nightlife, we're also seeing it on the private event side because everybody can do the same thing technically.
Right.
Right? So I know now going in if we have to price things out, we have to be super competitive because I know that there's 10 other guys that are just going to come in so much cheaper.
They're going to undercut you.
And where I always felt like I had a competitive edge in that world because I was a good DJ, I no longer have that competitive edge. We don't have that competitive edge because people don't give a fuck about how good you are as a DJ. And it's so frustrating to sit down with clients and like, you know, like you want me to go 2 hours away, you know, you don't want to pay a travel fee. You think that what we're charging to do your wedding is too much money. You want us to throw in stuff. It's like, it's super frustrating.
Well, I think it's
You know?
because the leverage is on the other side.
Yeah.
We don't have any of the leverage.
None whatsoever.
Right. I mean, the other thing about nightclubs and nightlife and why the millennials aren't really into that experience anymore is because it doesn't exactly translate to your Instagram. They want experiential.
Yes.
They want to film that stupid car going over Drake's concert. They want these things. They want it to look good. It might not actually even be fun in real life, but they want it to look fun on their Instagram, which is, I mean, even the term experiential is so new
Yes.
to the private and corporate sector. But that might as well be what the definition is. It has to look good on your phone, but it doesn't have to be good in real life. And that's a big part of the millennials because everybody's like, look at me, I'm at this place, or look at me. It's like the people that rent the private jets but don't fly the private jet. They just sit on it, take a picture, and get off. It's like,
That's insane.
what? That's Rick. Yeah, that's Rick. Rick wants to do that next.
That's
We're going to have an
insane.
Instagram shoot on somebody else's private jet.
and I mean, and the bar has been super raised because like technology now can make everything look so unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
So like your videos on like shooting video on your iPhone, it looks like a professional video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Amazing.
So like everything you do, if it's like remotely not correct or
Right.
perfect,
Right.
it's garbage.
And you also have the haters on the internet, like, what's up, Elliot? Like literally waiting for you to post something to tear it to pieces. I can remember being deep in my YouTube comments, like when YouTube like first came out, and I was like, who is Kevin 67 and why doesn't he like my scratching? Like the scratching in this video is amazing. Like what is he even talking about? And being like hurt. But then I'm like, I mean, years later, I was finally like, who that could have been like
That was
a
actually Rick
child.
Wonder.
Yeah, I know. He was
Anonymously.
It could have been like some 15-year-old kid.
that had no idea of nothing. But I'm like, well, this must be a very credible DJ that has years of experience commenting on my video. But that's not the case at all. And that's exactly who's shitting on my club experience, Elliot. And all the rest of the things in the world, it's all the laymen that have no experience. They're like, this is the worst thing in the world. It's like, you don't fucking know.
Yeah. I mean, if the people who shit on other people, they do that because of their own insecurities.
Sure.
Yeah.
But okay, I don't want to have to deal with that. Get out of here. I got my own insecurities. Beat it.
So we actually seen the industry getting worse, and that's why we started this. Like
Oh.
for DJs to come and just like let it all out on the
Yeah.
turntables, you know?
Well, I mean, I understand all
Yep.
your frustration.
So I think before you jump into your set, let's
Sure.
talk about a little gadget you brought here today.
Oh,
What did you bring
I
with
brought
you,
the
and are you
new
using it?
Phase DJ needles, but they're not needles, and they look like e-cigarettes or jewels, and then you put them on the turntables, and you don't have to use needles anymore.
Yes. So that this is actually the first time they're in the Funktion House, so we're
Oh,
super
hey.
psyched for
I
that.
hope they work.
So if there are technical difficulties,
Yeah, I don't want to hear it.
we got a discount.
Elliot,
tonight.
easy.
So
Well, Elliot actually said, let's get back to Elliot. He said he wasn't hating. He was just responding to you saying you don't go out unless you're DJing. He's from Europe, and he said that Europe doesn't see this problem with nightclubs as you're discussing.
Well, I mean, honestly, that's great, but it's probably coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fantastic now. Elliot, I did go out for forever, ever, and ever, but now that I run 4 a.m. and handle all these different things, I just can't do it physically.
Yeah.
I'm also getting old. I can't do the late nights anymore.
well, Europe was always more educated in the music world.
Sure.
So I mean,
100%.
like in London, like their radio stations play house music.
Right, and
Yeah.
personally, I hope Europe never has the problem that we're having here. But I mean, I feel like the playing field has been kind of leveled. It's like I remember you having to go DJ in like San Francisco or go DJ in like Texas, and they would be like, "Did you get ready musically?" because there was a giant difference in music that people liked in New York and people that liked music in the Bay. They were like, what do you mean you don't have like Keek the Sneak and like E40 and like all these San Francisco artists? But now you kind of don't need that.
No, everybody has everything now.
Right. Everybody has everything, or everybody kind of likes the same stuff. It's like when I first started going down to Texas or down south, you needed that real down south hip hop. And you don't really need it anymore.
Well, you're playing it here. Like, everything is being played. I mean, I guess it's Instagram. I think Instagram has a lot to do with it, how these artists are being pushed through Instagram.
Well, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music, the people that are really pushing the artists, it's just, there's no diversity in the markets. It's like, this is the world.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to go back to a beeper. I want to go back to having a beeper.
BlackBerry.
Life was much simpler.
You ready to,
What did you mean by that emoji? Nothing at all.
Are you ready to go?
Sure.
All right, cool. We're going to take a 1-minute break. We're going to get Chachi up on the set.
Yeah, buddy.
And he's going to rock here live from Redhook at the Funktion House. Peace.
Yeah.
All right, we got DJ Chachi making his second appearance live from Redhook here at the Funktion House. Do it.
I don't wanna lose you tonight. Baby girl, you shining so bright. I don't want this feeling to end. Let's do it again and again and again. I don't wanna lose you tonight. Baby girl, you shining so bright. I don't want this feeling to end. Let's do it again and again and again and again and again. I don't wanna lose. I don't wanna lose you tonight. Baby girl, you shining so bright. I don't want this feeling to end. Let's do it again and again and again. I don't wanna lose you tonight. Baby girl, you shining so bright. I don't want this feeling to end. Let's do it again and again and again and again and again and again. I don't wanna lose. I don't wanna lose. I don't wanna lose you. I don't wanna lose, 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 lose,
Ain't gonna party again. Like you ain't gonna party again. Get out, get out, get to the rhythm and move it. Party like you ain't gonna party again. Party like you ain't gonna party again. Get out, get out, get to the rhythm and move it.
This is more than just a feeling, this is more than just a crush. This ain't some romantic gesture, this right here is called real love. And nothing really matters as long as there's you and me, there's us and I. I ain't found nothing like this.
up in the air. Raise your hands 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 up in the air.
hands in the earth. Put your 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 hands in the earth.
the edge, wanna take me down. Well, I'll grab your top, baby, and we'll both hit the ground. Don't cause me no affliction, cause I'll take you on. Instead, just pull me closer, and I'll take you home. Push. And pull. Push. And pull. Push. And pull. And push. And pull. And push. And pull. And push. Push and pull. Push and pull. Wanna push me to the edge? Wanna take me down? Well, I'll grab the top, baby, and we'll both hit the ground. Don't cause me no affliction, cause I'll take you on. Instead, just hold me closer, and I'll take you home. Push and pull. Push and pull. Push and pull. And push and pull. And push and pull. And push and pull. and forth we go. All eyes on us. I love the way you make me lose control. I love it. Hey, there's no stopping this. I like it. Hey, and I don't care who's watching. Back and forth we go. All eyes on us. I love the way you make me lose control. All eyes on us. 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 I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It feels so good. I love it. I love it.
DJ Chachi.
Standing in a crowded room and I can't see your face. Put your arms around me, tell me everything's okay. In my mind, I'm running around a cold and empty space. Just put your arms around me, tell me everything's okay. I'm ready for this. There's no denying. I'm ready for this. You stop me falling. I'm ready for this. I need you holding. I'm ready for this. So darling, hold my hand. Oh, won't you hold my hand?
down slow. Recognize a real dawn when you see one. Sipping on booze in the house of blues. It's the N-O-T-O-R-I-O-U-S. Just lay down slow. Recognize a real dawn when you see one.
So why don't you
taps are still running, dishes are broken. How did we get into this mess? Got so aggressive. I know we meant all good intentions. So pull me closer. Why don't you pull me close? Why don't you come on over? I can't just let you go. Why don't you just meet me in the middle? Oh yeah, I'm losing my mind just a little. So why don't you just meet me in the middle? Oh, in the middle. Why don't you just meet me in the middle, baby? I'm losing my mind just a little. So why don't you just meet me in the
everything we do, it's a lot like love. What you waiting for? Never hurt my soul, not like this before. I just gotta know why you're holding on. Cause everything we do, it's a lot like love. 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 Cause everything we do, it's a lot like love.
Vacation far away. Come around and talk it over. So many things that I wanna say. You know I love my girls a little bit older. I just wanna use your love tonight. I don't wanna lose your love tonight.
This is a monster track, bro.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Shout out to D-Star. Shout out to Music Man Ty. Shout out to my man CID.
Chachi was going in on this.
I played
set.
a lot of Carlos's track tonight. Big shout out to CID.
Do you get to play a lot of house music now?
No, not at all. Which is
Could
kind
tell.
of
I
why
could tell.
I wanted to play it tonight, because I miss that shit. I miss just making people dance.
Yeah. I mean, I
Where
was
did that
dancing a little bit back
I saw
there.
you, baby. You got those
Me
white
and
girl
Rick.
moves.
Rick got some moves
You got
too.
the two-step.
Yeah, we opened up the blinds, bro. They were like people walking by. Curtains were open.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for having me, guys.
So we got new hats, the Gold Series.
The Gold Series.
I'm gonna just wear the hat and walk around the hat. Just the hat.
Yes.
Maybe my flippies.
So no technical issues with the phase.
Everything worked perfect.
was-
Shout out
that
to
was
FaZe DJ.
These are amazing.
These
Yeah,
things are.
shout out to FaZe if you're watching.
Send us a
set
pair.
to the Function House.
Send me an extra pair.
Send us the double one. Send us the one
Give me
with
the double
with
whammy.
4, yeah.
Shout out to Rick Wonder for acting like he was excited tonight.
Gotta love the energy.
Gotta love that kid. Yeah.
Well, thanks again for coming down. Always a pleasure having
My
you.
pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Chachi, thanks, bro.
See, he did-
Thank you.
No, he went in for the. He
I went in.
Thanks
Thanks for
again,
tuning
guys.
in.
Which one's the one?
Peace.
Z.